Hey guys, Rick Stone here from the blog Our Stoney Acres and the Online Gardening School. Welcome to 5 Minute Fridays, my video series. Before we get started this week, please make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, or if you're watching this on Facebook, make sure you like my Stoney Acres Facebook page. While you're at it, make sure you go check out our website, which is ourstoneyacres.com. All right, so this week we're out in the garden and we're going to talk a little bit about composting. And in particular, we're going to talk about trench composting. Now, I'll be the first to admit I'm not a very good composter. Since I've been gardening, I've had 3 different places, 3 different gardens that we have lived at. And in each of those gardens, I've dutifully created a compost bin and tried to do my composting. But I'll be honest with you, it's never a priority and I always seem to ignore it. And every once in a while I'll get a good batch, but most of the time, it just sits and I don't get to it. And so I've actually figured out a different way to get organic matter into our soil without creating a compost pile. Now, for those of you that have a compost pile, awesome, good on you. I still, that's one of my goals, is to have a good compost pile someday. But for now, I use a method that we call trench composting. Some people will also call it pit composting. And basically is what this is it's putting a mix of food scraps and grass clippings and leaves and all that kind of stuff into the soil and then burying it and letting those materials decompose and compost inside the soil, okay? So let's talk a little bit first about how you do that. So basically you need to dig a trench, okay? And I usually our beds are about 4 feet wide and we kind of rotate through. And about every 2 years, these beds will get some trench composting done to them. And we dig a big long trench like you can see here in these cutaway videos. And it's usually a shovel width wide and as deep as I can get before I hit our kind of subsoil. And our subsoil here is really heavy clay. And so I usually can get down about 8 to 12 inches. And then basically you're just going to fill that trench with all kinds of different organic material. So we're talking, leaves are a good choice, grass clippings are a good choice, and then all of your vegetable scraps are also a great choice. All of those kind of things will go really well. Now, a couple of things for you to think about. If you're going to put leaves into your trench compost, those are what a composter would consider a brown material, okay? And they need nitrogen in order to break down, okay? So if you're going to put leaves in, then you also need to do, like you're seeing here in this cutaway video, you also need to add at least some grass clippings, if not food scraps and other things to that trench as well. Because you've got to have something to kind of light the spark and get things decomposing. And the leaves will eventually decompose, but if you don't put some green material in there as well, it can take quite a while for those leaves to decompose. So make sure if you're using leaves or other brown materials, things like straw or old dried out plant material, make sure that you include some green material as well, whether it's grass clippings or food scraps, all right? Now, a few things that you want to avoid in your trench is you want to stay away from animal products. You want to stay away from any plants that might have been in your garden that had diseases, okay? This method of composting is not hot, okay? There's no heat involved or very little heat involved. It's just basically the soil microorganisms and worms and things like that decomposing all of that material, and so there's no heat involved. So you're not going to destroy any diseases, and the other thing you're not going to destroy is weed seeds, okay? So you can put weeds in it if they're weeds that have not gone to seed, okay? It's okay to put, smaller weeds and things like that in your trench compost, as long as they don't have any seeds involved, because again, there's no heat. It's not going to destroy any of that seed material, and so you're going to get a bunch of weeds. The other thing that you want to avoid here, again, because there's no heat, is you want to avoid any type of wood or any type of super heavy woody material. So no corn stalks, no sunflower stems, things like that, because those are just going to take so long to break down. And what's going to happen is that while it's breaking down, the soil microbes will occupy the nitrogen in the soil, and so it'll actually deprive your soil temporarily of nitrogen while they're breaking that down. Now eventually they'll release it again, but you don't want that big heavy woody stuff because it's just going to occupy too much nitrogen. So stay away from those kind of things. Now once you've filled up your trench with whatever materials that you decide to put in, then go ahead and cover it up, and you want to put all of the soil that came out of the trench back on top, and it's going to settle and decompose and just really improve your soil a lot. We have found since we've started doing this method that we've really had some improvement in our soil, on top of, we also top dress with regular compost during the year. But this has really helped to break up our soil and to make it more healthy. So it's a great method to get rid of a lot of the plant material that you might have in your yard, especially if you have a big lawn. It's a good way to get rid of grass clippings and things like that. So fill it in. Now, timing for this. I recommend that you do this in the late summer and fall, okay? Because again, the way the soil microbes work is they pull nitrogen out of the soil temporarily to decompose those materials. And so you want to put those trenches in, fill them in, and then give them several months, like over the winter, to decompose that material. That way, by the time it comes time to plant again, you have actually, that stuff is decomposed and it's freed up that nitrogen. The soil microbes have freed that up again, and it's available for your plants to take in. So that's trench composting. We've been doing it for a lot of years, and it's a really good method to add organic material to your garden. So that's all I have for you this week. Please make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. I'm even on Instagram now at Our Stoney Acres. So go check us out on all those social media areas. And that's all I have for this week. Everybody have a great week. Happy gardening.